Okay, we have probably heard about, fake hunger. But apparently the new thing is how to control your fake consumption urge.
We've all had this urge to buy something.
Of course.
Order delivery. I want to open my
Yes.
app or just, I don't know, spend money that I don't have. So when you're hungry, when there's that fake hunger and you tell your mom, like, can I have some snacks? And your mom's like, have an apple. But I'm like, okay, mom.
No, that's not what I want.
I'm not apple hungry. I'm a candy bar hungry. But then moms are like, if you're not apple hungry, you're actually not hungry. So now there's like an apple or like a cucumber, whatever healthy alternative they throw at you, equivalent of this for impulse purchases.
Really?
Fake websites. So these are websites where people pretend like they're spending money without actually doing so.
Okay, so we're not talking like fake websites like scams.
No.
Okay.
So imagine, so you open a delivery app, you order chicken. I'm going to do 반반 순살.
배고파.
Add on a drink. It's a
Yes.
0 because, it's the last,
Yes.
and then add that to your cart. You click pay. And you see, the rider has picked up my order. They're on their way. It's on a motorcycle. You even get your alert. Ding dong, it's
Really?
here. You open the door. It's actually not. Because that's what you signed up for. This is a fake delivery simulation
Wow,
site.
seriously?
And these look real. And
my
they sell themselves as a simulation app to help you treat or cure your delivery/spending addiction. So this particular food delivery site you can see on our YouTube has 15 restaurants with 40 menu items, including roje tteokbokki, oh my goodness, chicken, ramen pasta, so on and so forth, and real prices and real add-ons. So
Oh
you
my
really get that
gosh.
full experience.
Sure.
So credits. It was created by social media user Mari, saying that he or she came up with a fake food delivery and e-commerce shopping site to cure their own spending addiction. And the shopping apps will have fake products that are really silly, like a 1,000만 원, 10 million won time machine, or a 1.5 million won clone of yourself.
Oh.
This apparently was inspired by a Japanese site.
So, what's the psychology behind this?
Some people order things because we need it or I'm hungry and there's no
Yes.
food. But for others, it's more of a habit or a dopamine hit. Yeah, so there might be a set window like 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday night where my shopping happens, and that could be a habit. So consumer experts say that people feel this sense of satisfaction through just the act of purchasing. And the great thing is, after you've inhaled down that chicken or that tub of tteokbokki, you're like, oh, now I don't feel well.
Right, and you're like, did I really need that?
No, you never
Regrets.
did, right?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like how some people will watch mukbang to satiate their cravings.
okay.
But then you're more of an active participant. Of course, this may differ by person.
Yes.
So, try it out. See if that works for you.
The minimum wage panel has started its discussions for next year's wage, I hear.
It will. So updates to what's been happening. So after multiple sessions, the minimum wage panel decided to not apply the different minimum wage to different industries. So with that, the pro-labor agenda of including contracted workers into the minimum wage scheme and the pro-business agenda of different minimum wages for different industries, these all have been struck down.
Well, this means that the full discussion about the actual minimum wage has started, or it's going to start?
It's going to start today
Okay.
with the actual number. So both sides have now officially made their initial proposal. The labor side, they are calling for 12,000 won per hour. That's about a 16% increase from this year's figure of 10,320 won for a monthly wage of 2.5 million won for somebody who works 40 hours a week or 209 hours per month. Their argument is that with high inflation, minimum wage workers' wages have actually decreased in the past several years.
Business side, what are they arguing or what are they going for?
Well, they're going for no raises. So that's what their initial proposal has been for the past several years to
Yes.
freeze the minimum wage. So the Korea Enterprises Federation earlier this week released a report analyzing the 2027 potential minimum wage, saying that globally, South Korea's minimum wage is already quite high. So they converted the minimum wage to the figure after taxes based on the PPP, which stands for Purchasing Power Parity, 구매력 평가, basically adjusting for differences in prices between different countries. So after the math, the report argues that South Korea's minimum wage adjusted to the parity is actually almost 18% higher than the G7 average. But they're also arguing that South Korea's labor productivity is only at about 68.8% of the average G7 productivity. Of course, small businesses also saying that the vast majority, or 87% of its members, feel that the current minimum wage is too much, with almost 93% saying that the profits decreased due to the minimum wage increase.
And those are the two main sides. How do we proceed from this point, though?
Right, so it's always important to keep in mind that both sides will always go for the higher minimum wage versus no increases to the minimum wage and somewhere meet in the middle. The minimum wage panel will go through the negotiations to find that middle ground and update their proposals. And the government-appointed panel members will make their mediation proposal with the goal of getting to the final figure. Well, the legal deadline is the end of this month. There's only been a handful of times where they've met the deadline. So somewhere within this month or at least by July.
We're going to talk about the state of chores or domestic labor within families.
Right, because we call that 가사노동 now because it is labor. So good news and bad news when it comes to gender and domestic labor. In the last 5 years, the level or amount of domestic labor done by men went up by 35%.
Ooh.
Not insignificant. But when we're looking at the full picture, women still took up about 3/4, 73% of domestic labor. And this is according to the Ministry of Data and Statistics National Time Transfer Account. So this NTTA, it compiles statistics on unpaid domestic labor because often it is not the production consumption that is not included in the traditional GDP.
Right.
And it is significant because this is the first time that South Korea has published these figures as authorized national statistics based on United Nations guidelines.
Interesting. Let's dive into the figures.
So domestic labor, which is a form of unpaid labor, equal to 582.4 trillion won in total production in 2024. Again, women-dominated field at 73%, which is still, though, a 3-point decrease from 2019.
Yes. Let's also talk about the male contribution.
As I said, overall, a 35% increase, and this was focused in the basic chores, cleaning and food prep, 43% increases, and a near 14% increase in caregiving, too. However, still, women spent far more time doing such domestic labor.
Sure.
Economists actually call this into a revenue, so being in the black, 흑자, versus a deficit. But then, unlike the other revenues, the more time you spent doing not only yours, but other people's domestic chores.
Yeah.
That means, again, if your domestic labor products was in the black, you actually did other people's. So women tended to enter this domestic labor revenue, meaning they picked up more slack at the age of 26.
26.
And then finally left that at 84, meaning pretty much the entirety of their adult life. And then some primary domestic labor provider for 58 years. For men, this revenue period was only from 32 to 44 years of age, so about 12 years. And by monetary amount, women's domestic contribution to the home was 7.7 times that of men, which basically simply means that women did more than 7 times the amount of chores.
Ah, interesting. Well, aging also showed changes in how people, I guess, do domestic labor.
And this could be positive because more seniors above 65 were in this domestic labor production doing chores, and that's an uptick by 55%.
Okay.
And the ministry explained that because the older you are either more likely to live by yourself or as an elderly couple. So you have no choice but to kind of depend on each other. Also, an increase in caregiving, not just caring for each other, but the sunset child care, meaning they're caring for their grandchildren.
Interesting. We're going to call it a wrap. So thank you so much, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.